What are the advantages of owning your own business? We're going to answer that great question in this video. Okay, what are the advantages of owning your own business? Well, there's several. Actually, the list could technically go on, but I'm going to say probably one of the most important ones for most business owners is the fact that they get to do what they want to do for a living, what they're passionate about, what they enjoy. And as we all know, fulfillment ranks at the top of everybody's lives. So if we can do something that we enjoy every day of our lives, we're winning, right? Well, obviously in business, the number one goal in the end is to make money. You've got to make a living. If you're not making enough money, you've basically got a hobby and not a business, because a business's goal is to make money. So make sure you've got that as one of your primary goals, because if not, it's probably better to let somebody else take the stress load about making sure that you can produce a profit. So I would say number one for most people is going to be the ability to create a business that they've always wanted to do. And what's beautiful about the world is not everybody wants to do the same thing. So you've got people that are chefs that want to create a restaurant. You've got people that are in the entertainment industry that want to have a movie theater. You know, there's people that want to go out and build stuff like houses, and there's people that love the auto industry. I mean, and then the list just goes on. But the bottom line is you get a pick. So that's probably number one. If somebody was to ask me the same question, I would actually say my number one is probably the ability to set my own free schedule, right? I get to set up my schedule any way I want to every day of my life. And although people look at it and say, man, you're lucky, you know, you get to come in whenever you want, leave whenever you want. What they don't realize is that I'm whipping myself every single day. I don't need to be told what to do. I get up and I crush myself. I push, and I get the job done. I get more than the job done. So that for me, just the ability to say, hey, I needed to sleep in an extra hour today, 2 hours, whatever, just to feel rested. That's worth way more money, you know, than anybody could quantify. It's just literally priceless. That ability is huge for me. And it's probably for you as well. You know, not everybody's built for a 9-to-5 job, 40 hours a week. For me, I want to build, if I want to work from 5 a.m. until midnight, you know, if I want to work that kind of a shift, work a, 12, 15, 20-hour day, I want to just be able to do it. And maybe I work that hard, and then the next day I don't work at all, or I work just for 3 hours. And that's the beauty about having your own business. That's a huge advantage, because in the end, you set up your own goals. You set up how much money in your mind you're happy making, right? If you're married, your significant other and you are like, hey, we're happy making this. We can make our house payment. We can make our car payments, and we value our free time. We'd like to have a couple days off a week or whatever. Well, you could create the schedule to whatever your favorite days are. Maybe Friday's your favorite day of the week, and you're like, I want Fridays off, non-negotiable, and I'll work if I have to, Saturday through Thursday just so I can have Friday off. If that's the way you want to set it up, that's a huge advantage because you get to do that yourself. So that's probably my number one, is just being able to kind of create my own schedule. Even though I work a lot of hours still and I enjoy doing it, I get to do it on my own terms. For those of you that like to travel, listen up, you're going to like this. So the beauty about having your own business, and this is a huge advantage, especially if you haven't traveled a lot. I mean, some of us, I remember for a while, I was stuck in kind of the Kansas City area for a while. And then when I was young, when I was working for the baseball card shop that my family owns, the guy that used to own the shop before he sold it to us, he used to do these out-of-state trading card shows, baseball card shows. And for those of you that remember those days, it would have been like late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, that kind of range. But from the late 80s to early 90s, that 5-year window or whatever, I mean, trading card shows, baseball card shows were everything. So I got to go and travel like I had never done before. I remember going to Dallas, Texas the first time. And then I went to Houston. I remember going to Phoenix, Arizona. I remember going to Chicago. I remember going to St. Louis. I mean, we would travel. We went to Denver, to all these different great cities. And as a kid, I was probably 14 or 15. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I mean, I thought this guy was like losing money. I couldn't at 14 years old figure out how he could afford to pay for me to go with him. But, now growing up, as you look back, I was just a kid. I didn't know any better. But the bottom line was his business was supporting it. We were making enough money at these baseball card shows to not only pay for the expenses, but to pay for me, to work for him, to pay for the rent. And so they were very profitable for us to travel. And I really enjoyed those baseball card days. I mean, those show days were incredible and fun. So a huge perk is that if you own your own business, and if you remember, there was a video, one of the videos I did earlier, I talked about everybody that owns a business in every industry should do all the trade shows, conventions, any type of event that could help build your network, you know, create new connections, find out about products before they're released, things like that. Anything like that in your industry, you have to be at. It's vital. If you want to stay ahead of the pack, you've got to go to those shows. And so what's beautiful about going to those, when you're the business owner, you actually get to travel in a sense for free. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you own the business, and the money in the business and the checking account, the operating account, that's your money. But it's different in a business. When you have like a personal checking account, that's like your personal money. When you spend it, it's gone. And you can't like write it off, right? Personally, you can't just like go buy a meal and just write it off. You can't do that. But if you own a business and you go to like a convention, say in Las Vegas, or some kind of a trade show in New York City or Florida or California or somewhere like that, and you do one of these gigantic trade shows, the hotel bill, the food, the travel costs, like your airfare, if you've got a rental car, whatever, all that is tax deductible off your business's income. So basically you get to, in a sense, utilize your company money to do things that maybe you wouldn't have personally done. And although you're not there necessarily, you know, enjoying the city like you would if you were just going there on vacation, you still get to experience it. For me, it's cool. You get to see all these just different places, you know, different cultures. You know, every state is sometimes, some states are completely different than other states. They just, you know, the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, it's the South, it's different. And so it's neat to see all the different cultures and meeting all the new people and stuff like that. And so I've always enjoyed the fact that I get to travel for my businesses, and it's at the expense of a business. So here's kind of how that works. And you'll want to check with your CPA on this because your CPA will explain it in greater detail. But the bottom line is the money that you're spending, you get to write off from the overall, you know, gross profit that you're going to make in your business at the end of the year. So that money you get a tax deduction for that. So you're going to basically, in a sense, you know, kind of get a rebate in a sense. You know, you don't get money back. They're not going to send you a check back. Like if you were working for somebody at the end of the year, you file your taxes, you get a check back. It's not like that. It's just you'll owe less money in taxes at the end of the year when you file on April 15th. You'll owe money at the end, you'll owe less money. And so, you know, if you value that, if that's special to you, I personally enjoy it. I love meeting people. I love traveling. It's my thing. I'm a people person. I'm an extrovert. I love being out there. That's a huge advantage for me. So obviously, you know, we talked about all the main ones, you know, being passionate, being able to set your own schedule, being able to do things like traveling. All of this just breaks down to one big word: flexibility. You know, if I could sum it up, I'd say overall, the biggest advantage you get by owning your own business is flexibility to do the things the way you want them done, when you want them done, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the unfortunate thing, and we'll talk about this on future videos, is there's also disadvantages, right? I mean, there's a lot more work and all the stress falls on your back, but we're going to save that for another video. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please click the subscribe button. I'd love to hear from you. Comment. Send me your comments, what kind of videos you'd like to see me post in the future, and I would love to be there for you. So remember, keep pushing hard, and be the hustler!